Yo, 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 what's good, YouTube? This is Stormybman, and I am back. Welcome to another edition of the Friday Night Chop Session with Stormybman. And this is episode number 38, where we're calling it The Gloves and Bets Are Off. Okay? And I want to salute everybody that's out there in the chat. Thank you for joining us for this November 29th, 2019. I hope that everybody had a wonderful holiday and continue on into this holiday weekend. Hope you didn't eat too much, but ate just enough. You might have had to loosen that little top button on your pants, on your belt buckle or something like that. I want to introduce my guest for this evening. I got boxing conversations with Reggie Owens and my man Brooklyn Child Boxing. He's finally got him on here, y'all. He's been busy, but he finally joined us for this evening. I want to say what's up to you, brothers. How you doing, Reggie?
Doing good, OG, man. What's up, my brother Brooklyn Child? Salute to you, homie.
What's good, man? Yeah, man. I know a lot. I've been trying to get on your panel for a while, man. Fridays around this time be busy, but I'm in here.
Oh, that's all good, man. Like I told you, the invitation for you is open. I know how it is when people got things, got their schedules to meet and whatnot. That's why I'm very flexible with that, man. I just, I want to welcome you to the show. It's good to have you this evening. I want to start off with saluting the people that's in the chat. We got Christopher Jornay out there. He says, salute Stormy B, man. Mark Wunderlich is out there. Utah in the house. Smash that like button, people, he says. That's right, smash the like button, people. Gil Coles is out there. He says, salute. Tyrone Smith is out there. What's good with you, Tyrone? Christopher Jornay, I said. Sheldon Holmes. He says, OG and fellas in the chat, salute. and Reggie's out there doing double duty. He's out there. And Brooklyn's out there doing double duty. So, as we approach this weekend, there's a couple of fights that's supposedly been scheduled this weekend on the ESPN Plus app. Nothing that we really have to celebrate, but Reggie had text me some good news, well, some interesting news earlier. So I think we'll just kick things off with that. Reggie, you want to throw that information out here, what we were talking about behind the scenes that we just found out about?
Oh, yeah, man. Let's get into it, man. It looks like the holiday bug then got to Andres Gutierrez, Oscar Valdez's opponent, for this mandatory bout. This bout puts him into a mandatory position to fighting Miguel Burchett. But the holiday bug got to him. I guess grandma was stuffing plates, stuffing food down this cat's throat, and he forgot about his damn fight. He was enjoying the festivities. And when he came to the scale, and the funny thing was the way he walked up to the scales, like he was right on point. This cat missed weight by 11 damn pounds. And it pissed Bob Arum off. They was interviewing Bob Arum. Bob Arum said they throwing him out the hotel. So the
dude. Oh my God.
So the dude stuffing got to live on the streets. He homeless tonight.
Oh God.
Now that part is hilarious.
Funny,
I didn't know about that part, and I'm glad you said it live on the air so we could all get a good laugh off of that one, man. That is ridiculously unprofessional, and I don't think I've ever heard anything like that one, man. That is crazy. That is crazy.
It's crazy because like a lot, because I don't know what's that fighter's ethnicity. Let's just hypothetically say he's Mexican. I know he ate one or too much of them tamales, man. Because I know on Thanksgiving, a lot of Mexicans, they dine in on them tamales. They grandma get that steamer, get that big pot out there full of tamales. That's a big thing. He ate one or too much of them joints, man. That's crazy. I've never heard of any fighter be 11 pounds overweight. That's 2 divisions, basically. Crazy.
Dude,
he missed weight at 140. He wouldn't even made 140.
That's crazy.
That is just ridiculous. When you talk about somebody losing control, he lost all control. I guess maybe 4 or 5 tamales in, he was like, "Fuck it."
Yeah, for real, man. He saw all that. He saw all that good food on that table. He's like, "Man, to hell with this fight."
Man, that is crazy. Andrew Charles, I see Andrew Charles is out there. He says salute to Stormybman and the chat and the panel. Man, so what's going to become of that? Are they canceling that, or is that fight off for Valdez? Is it?
Yeah, they found a late replacement, a cat named Adam Lopez, who was a fighter with 1 defeat and I think 10 victories with 6 knockouts or something like that. So he stepped to the plate for him, bailing them out. But Bob Arum, man, is pissed off, man. And Andres, man, his career is over with, man. He gotta go get a 9 to 5 like the rest of us. But I don't see anyone wanting to work with a dude this dang unprofessional. This gonna stick around with him for a long time. You got Luis Neri in him doing idiotic stuff, but this dude takes the damn cake.
Wow. And you know what? It should hit him hard like that, because you need to, as I said prior, set examples. These guys who are so unprofessional, man, and I'm calling this the Canelo effect. Now, some people might ask, well, what the hell does this have to do with Canelo Alvarez? But this is what anytime you start showing favoritism to a particular athlete, and the athlete in question may be of a certain ethnic descent, it's like you can see all machinations working in his favor. You have to look at it as, okay, people are gonna see this and they get upset about it. You know what I mean? And hey, Brooklyn, can you go on mute?
My bad.
When you start showing this type of favoritism and cutting breaks and everything, certain individuals may think that, hey, the coast is clear. You know what I mean? The getting is good. So you see them following suit. And what happens is, with Canelo, he's been allowed to fight certain fights at certain weights and dictate terms, dictate through certain extra clauses that the public might not know about in the contract, and his opponents be obligated to that. And then his fights already appear to be, from a position of judging, that things are angled and aligned in his favor. There may be a number of fighters out there, athletes that are participating in the sport, that see this and feel like they may be given favorable consideration as well. That's why none of this is good. You have to put a mandate. There are rules in place for a reason. There are weight restrictions. There are weight divisions and classes. You just cannot make it how you want it to be out here. And it's great that it's happening to someone like Mr. Arum in one of his promotions, because he's been one of the shadiest characters as of late, participating in a number of these questionable circumstances. So, what do you have to say about that? Brooklyn, we'll go with you first. What do you think?
Yeah, man, like I said, man, I have never heard of anybody coming in that much pounds overweight, man. He's embarrassment. When I saw the title, I didn't see the video of the title. I'm like, what? This is ridiculous, man. He wouldn't what Reggie just said. He wouldn't even have made a goddamn 100 super lightweight. He would have been overweight in that division. Like, you come into the scale 2 divisions over, man, that's insane. You know what I mean? That's insane, man. I've never seen anything like that. That's crazy. That's all I got, man. I'm still in shock, bro, honestly.
Well, Reggie, what do you think about what I said? What do you have to say?
With the Canelo effect, man, I think some of these dudes are taking advantage of some of the privileges that some of these cats are thinking they gain from being from particular regions, and it's crazy because it's start a pattern of fighters coming from that region of the world. But it was funny. I was reading as we're on that the WBC has taken upon themselves to suspend this dude, so they took some expedited action to suspend this dude and to launch an investigation on the cat. But it's just some oddball things that are going on. And speaking about the Luis Neri thing, with the him being over 1 pound, but the fighter who decided not to take on the fight did this to teach Luis Neri a lesson. And the lesson that he said he was teaching Neri is to not think that you can throw money at a situation and think you're going to fix it. Their thing was he needs to be professional. This is going to be his punishment because he's been doing it and getting away with him. Nobody's been holding him responsible for it because he did it when he went to fight a fighter over in Japan, and Japan put a lifetime ban on the guy for missing weight. But the sanctioning bodies did nothing. They favor the guy. Same thing. He's one of the guys that comes up for the situation of lying about. No, that's what they banned Neri for. He failed against the Japanese fighter for the banned substance that he said he got from contaminated meat, and then he missed weight. But the WBC did nothing. They show favoritism, trying to create excuses. Now they want to create excuses of raising thresholds for contaminated meat when these fighters fell for banned performance substance. But this fighter who's going to fight Luis Neri taught that lesson. It was like, no, this dude won't come wait about to just throw the money thing at us and think we're supposed to budge and thinking this is all about money. This is about professionalism. This is about dedication. This career, and they stick the middle finger at Neri, and it's beginning to bite Neri in the back, and it's starting to make these sanctioning bodies and these other fighters look very bad when they don't do the appropriate things that they know they're supposed to take in when they go about pursuing this type of career. And it's time for all the players who's supposed to govern this sport to start coming down hard on unprofessional fighters cheating. What Odu did is he might as well flooded the system with all type of goddamn whatever the drugs they're using now. But it's definitely has something to do with that Canelo effect you were speaking on.
Yeah. And,
hey, can I add something to that?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah. I was gonna say too. It goes back to what we be talking about for years as far as these guys. You know, they fight in weight classes that they have no business being in. Now, of course, this is an extreme example of you coming in 11 pounds overweight, but at the end of the day, time and time again, you have these fighters coming in like they fighting in divisions that they have no business being at. We spoke about Luis Neri. This guy comes in a pound overweight, and then he missed weight in other fights before. It's like, dude, you're not supposed to be fighting at 118. You're supposed to be at 122. You know what I'm saying? So what? So what? You don't want to fight? So you don't want to fight against guys your size? Because to me, sometimes like you be watching some of these fights at these lower weight classes, these guys be way bigger than the opponents they be fighting. You know what I'm saying? So that guy who missed, who was 11 pounds over, obviously you have no business being at 130. You need to fight at 140, dog. You know, but that's it.
Yes, sir. I agree, man. And when I say the Canelo effect, you know, most people may think, oh, he's taking stabs at Canelo. But no, this is exactly what he was doing. You know, he created his own weight class, basically, or weight limit, where he would be advantageous over other people. someone else that had to cut the weight to make where he is to compete with him, and then they couldn't naturally rehydrate properly, which put him at a severe advantage. And this, we're just seeing it because people are outright doing it now, as opposed to on the sneak like he was doing it, because it was being hidden behind championships and things like that. But when you see it happening and it's so blatant like this, yeah, it's convenient that it's around the holidays of Thanksgiving. But we saw it last week too, when Seha did it against what's the kid's name? Figueroa. So we're seeing this more and more. And I think just in the past couple of months, we've seen it tremendously. Even if you go back to the Canelo and Kovalev fight, you know, the way he came in for a person who was supposedly moving up in weight to go up to a higher weight to fight, how does he show up in the ring with not an ounce of fat, but just totally ripped and veins popping and bulging and everything? I mean, come on, man. Really. And what was so telling earlier in the week when Kovalev saw him at the press conference, which he had saw him like back in September, I think, too. And then when he see him the week before the fight, he's like, how'd you get big so fast? You know? So there we go. But yeah, hopefully more penalties will be coming. Smash that like button, people, as you out there. Iceberg Nerd fell into the building. He says tamales and tecates. And 88 Sport Talk says facts. Jean Lejeune says 155. Iceberg Nerd, he says Brooklyn Child Boxing, what's going on, my good brother? And Gigi says, if you're watching, smash the like button. Absolutely, Gigi. Who else we got here? Tyrone says it was for the title versus Yamanaka for former long reigning midget champ. His money punch, Gatto left. And Reggie said, yeah, that's the fighter. Thanks, Tyrone. Salute to you. 88 Sports Talk says, if you get caught, you serve up to a year ban and a second time ban for life. Yeah, they have to do something, man. Because if we look at the fight, if we go back and check history, Arturo Gatti fought a fight where he came in and he weighed in at the proper weight. But when he came in against Joey Gamache on the night that they were supposed to fight, I think he outweighed Gamache by 20 pounds or something. And when he hit Gamache, Gamache went out of there like a ton of bricks. It was like he almost killed the dude. And then I see that Gamache is a trainer now. He turned up in one of these fighters' corners most recently. And when I saw him, his hair is all gray now. It's like, that was Joey Gamache, the guy that Arturo Gatti almost killed. But yeah, I mean, come on, man. That's ridiculous. You know, James Toney gained about 18 pounds from his 160 pound challenge against Roy Jones Jr. And it went bad for him because it was the bad type of rehydration for James Toney. I think he hit every fast food joint between his the weigh-in and his hotel that he could hit, you know. And he put on 18 pounds, and he was sluggish and everything. He wasn't able to perform right. And Roy Jones knew that about James Toney, too, and he took advantage of it as he should have. So,
Jay Toney, I remember seeing at the interview, he's like, Burger King!
Yeah, James Toney liked his food.
Oh, man. My God, man.
It was amazing that he was able to starve himself down from being a 200-plus pound quarterback in high school, and he fought, you know, at middleweight. He got all the way down there. I don't know how he did it, but he did. And he did it for a few years. But, you know, that's why when people saw him fighting guys like John Ruiz or even, what was his name? The Nigerian guy. They were
Sam
like,
Peter.
Yeah, Samuel Peters. He's like, oh, James Toney is a middleweight fighting this guy. No, James Toney was a heavyweight. He was just a little small heavyweight, but he fought at middleweight because he was able to cut himself down to that weight. That was amazing within itself, because you figure you 200 pounds in high school, and he was well into his mid to late 20s fighting at middleweight. So you go figure, keeping that weight off like that for a long time, he was bound to balloon up at some point. He probably should have been a career cruiserweight, but it was really no money at cruiserweight. So,
hey, do you think that James Toney should have an asterisk? As great of a fighter he was, do you think he should have an asterisk in his career? Because you just said it, like in high school, he was a high school quarterback weighing in 200 pounds, and then he boils himself down to 168. But then later on in his career, he get popped for PEDs. So, was he possibly on PEDs during the most of his career? Like that needs to be a question that be asked.
No, I don't think he was on his career for most of his. I don't think he was on PEDs for most of his career. I think what happened with him is he got lazy. James had horrible work ethic. He could fight though, and it's like Emmanuel Stewart said about him. If he weren't such the person whose approach to training that it was and whatnot, he could have been probably an all-time great. But he's still pretty damn good for what he's accomplished. But it's like he knows the corners he cut, just like Riddick Bowe knows the corners he cut. And just amazing that some men they're blessed with talent, but talent don't equate to work ethic. So it's just like you could be working on a job. There's a guy, he could probably do everything better than everybody else, but he's so damn lazy that, he always getting suspended or sent home or whatever, because it's like he just won't cooperate. You got people like that. It happens in all walks of life, man. It happens in all walks of life. Iceberg Nerd says, James Toney rehydrated with barbecue ribs and Kool-Aid. He probably did. Plus Burger King, because he loved Burger King, But yeah, Reggie, is that all you have on those fights for the ESPN card, or was that just
based on listening to Bob Arum as well? He seemed to be pissed to the highest level of festivity.
That's good for him, though. That's good for Bob Arum. Anything that's going to make his promotion or whatever look bad, good for him. Because he got a dynamite fighter over there that he don't promote. He ain't trying to take care of properly and everything. So if the walls are closing in on Bob, can we speed the motor up on the wall? That's all I'm asking.
Yes, sir, man.
But yeah. So I was going to also mention that it was in the news today that Canelo has vacated that 168 WBA title. What do you guys think about that? Because does that mean that he's going to go down lower, or you think he's going to stay up higher for a little while? Or is he going to try to go after some other title around another fake weight class? What do you guys have to think? Brooklyn, I'll go with you on that first.
Wow, that's news to me. I didn't. This is the first time hearing this. I'm going to say this. I can't see him going back down to 160. I don't see it, because you look at the man at the weigh-in against Kovalev. This guy is shredded at 175, and he's shredded. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, man, dude. So the idea of him going back down to 160, I'll be very surprised at that, especially due to the fact that there's some hard hitters over there. As when we talking about Durianchenko and Demetrius Andrade and what's his name on Demetrius Andrade and Charlo especially. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see, maybe he look at that avenue like, nah, I don't want to go down that road. So maybe him staying at 175. I guess I could see him staying there. They're gonna carefully make certain fights or whatever. But to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if he does a fight at cruiserweight. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I could see him go. Because especially they trying to really like give him all these accolades or whatever. So I could see him doing a fight at cruiserweight. Because a lot of them guys they ain't nothing, you know what I'm saying? So they could throw some money at one of these guys, man. Hey, take a little bag here and let me give up your chin, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I see him staying at 175, maybe doing a couple chump fights there, and then try to get another title at cruiserweight.
Okay, Reggie, what do you think, bro, on this?
I think it's a sucker move. I think it's a dropping this belt because 168 is a very tight and tough division for him to campaign at, and there's some true warriors in that division. Now, he took on Rocky Fieldhand to get the belt, one of the softest touches possibly in boxing, and he never defended. He never try to campaign for another title at the division. He's giving up a belt. So this is a sign maybe he's moving out of the division, but where is he going? Is he going back down to 160, or is he going to stay up there at 175, which is another tough division based on the level of power. But when it comes down to power and skill at 168, will possibly get embarrassed. You got the Caleb Plants, the David Benavidez, Callum Smith. You got that other cat who just got in there and rumbled with Callum Smith, who's looking to appeal that decision, who's down there. So there's a lot of speed, power, and technique at 168, and it's odd that he wants to give up this belt rather than campaign at it. So if he is to stay at 175, he needs to stop trying to pick on cats who will fold for the money, who are past their prime, getting there with an Arthur Beterbiev. And let's see what he really has. He stay at 175, he'd probably be trying to fight. But I think, to me, it's a sucker move by Canelo to do that until we see where he campaigns at. Now, if he goes back to one, definite sucker move. But that's all I got on that.
Yeah, I think this is more of the same from him because there are some fighters there at that weight class that could challenge him. And he and his people may have looked at the Callum Smith situation because that guy that just lost to Callum Smith, I mean, he wants a rematch. And Billy Joe Saunders was hoping to get his hat in the race, and Gennady Golovkin is right there too because he ain't really saying that he's fighting at 160 no more because you know why. He trying to avoid that heat there. And then you look at Demetrius Andrade is right there for him too. You see, this is what I'm talking about. If he fought any of those names, outside of Golovkin and defeated those guys, then you could start giving him some of the credit that he think he has already. But because he's avoiding the obvious, you got to fight the talent that's there. You can't just win a title there and think that we're supposed to usher you into the Hall of Fame because you won a title. It's like you didn't defeat the cream of that division. You defeated one of the lower class fighters there. And I'm not trying to insult anybody, but we know when you have multiple belts out there like they do, what is it, like 5, 6 titles out there now that's not counting those special titles? It's like that IBO. If he went and beat a guy who had the IBO belt, more than likely it's some schmo that we don't really care about, right? But then he could say he won a title at that weight class. So, but he didn't take on Andrade or Billy Joe, two guys who actually should be fighting each other to prove their wares so they could make a real viable name and candidate for him in the future down the line, whatever. But this is what's killing boxing. I hate that, and these guys don't want to get in there and face each other. It's a stink it's a stinker, like you said. It's a bitch move. We're not getting the best out of the sport. Brooklyn, what do you have on that?
Yeah, man. And then when there's certain fights you do want to see, a guy get popped the PEDs, man. It's like I remember they were supposed to we were supposed to have the Andre versus Billy Joe Saunders fight last year. And I can remember really looking forward to that fight. And then it turns out that Billy Joe was a drug cheat. You know what I mean? It's like what Reggie just said. It's like what Reggie just said, man. It's like, damn, bro. Like Canelo constantly doing all this weird stuff in the sport, bro. But then people want to say he's the pound for pound best fighter in the sport. He's the face of the sport. This is not a face of the sport. This is an embarrassment to the sport. I mean, this guy, like when we talking boxing to casual people who don't watch the sport, Canelo Alvarez should not be the person that represents the sport. You know what I mean? Because it's all this nonsense. WBC with the threshold, increasing the threshold on clenbuterol. He gets popped the PEDs, but then they give this man a 6-month drug suspension, and then he comes back and fight a Rocky Fielding. And people are okay with this. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, bro. It's like, this guy's always doing all this shady stuff, bro. It's like, me personally, I don't care for the guy, bro. Like, I don't support him. He don't get my viewership. He don't get my money. And anytime his name is brought up, I throw his name in the dirt. That's how I see it.
Yeah, for real, man. This is crazy. Kenneth Johnson has joined us. He says, salute panel and chat. Iceberg Nerd says, I could see him fighting Usyk at a catch weight. They're both ducking smoke. They'll fight for the Jamaican belt or something. Jethro Bodine has joined us. He said, what's up, fellas? I don't know, Reggie, what are your thoughts about where he could go next that they may be thinking about that maybe, we haven't touched on or something? Because there's got to be a plan to what he's doing. And, this is how they operate, with the Canelo camp. There is somebody out there, probably, we haven't even said their name yet, with the exception of Iceberg Nerd probably mentioning Usyk. But what do you think if there was a card that they could pull out on us, what do you think it would be?
I just don't know, man. Maybe because Kovalev's doing all that bickering and crying about getting a rematch with him and speaking stipulations they put out here for him not to win. That's the only thing I can possibly see him doing if he ain't going down to 160 is giving Kovalev another match, because that's probably his route. It's too many sucker moves from Canelo. And I'm not impressed with him moving all around in weights and fighting guys, superhero stuff. I'm more with cleaning out a division, moving up, cleaning out, and facing the best in that division, not just some who holds a title. I don't think he's going to pull out any trick. I think Canelo outside of 160 is defeated, is a defeatable elite. He's a defeatable elite fighter. I just don't know, man. They just playing too many.
Yeah, I got you on that.
He's Gary.
I do believe. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, because he's guaranteed all this money, there's no incentive for him to fight who fans want to fight, who the world of boxing wants him to fight.
Yeah.
That he wants to benefit him.
Yeah. That is to be continued. And, Kovalev, he still was supposed to have a court date, which I ain't heard nothing on that yet. We'll see how that plays out for him as well. Another item that appeared in the news this week was that our boy, Julian J. Rock Williams, is going to be returning to the ring in January. I think the 18th to be exact. against Jason Rosario in a fight in his hometown of Philly. So he's going to be another champion who's defending his title in a homecoming situation. You know, he won the fight against a fighter who was having his homecoming situation in Jared Hurd. So Jared wanted to bring the fight back to the DC area and everything, and Julian took his title from him. So this is what we have to look for him coming back. It'll be his first time since winning the unified title from Hurd, and Hurd didn't want to accept an immediate rematch, which was probably best. But at the same time, J-Rock is riding a high, you know, off of that win over the supposedly tougher Jared Hurd. And Hurd has gone around. He's cut his hair. He's looking like a normal brother out there, and I think he's got rid of his trainer, and he's trying to make some changes. So Jared Hurd is now back to a position of being on the comeback. So he's gonna take a little while before he gets back in the ring. What do you guys, think about this fight coming up with J-Rock? And I'll go with you first, Reggie. What do you think?
I think it's a good stay busy fight, man. What's his name? Jason Rosario, and I remember him from the fight that I ended up watching today with Mark Hernandez. And Hernandez, you see when he recently fought the TMT fighter Kevin Newman. But when he fought Rosario, they fought twice to a draw in that last fight. Rosario ended up knocking him out. This dude's a fighter who looks like he's a fighter who can make an opponent kind of fight with caution and hesitation a little bit, because the guy is kind of a straight up, he's very patient type fighter. Be looking for these big shots, which he doesn't seem to really always land, but he's a fighter who I think can draw a level of caution that kind of takes away from a fight being super exciting. But I think with J-Rock, with his speed, his ability to adapt and adjust in this fight, it may start off a little slow, but towards again, this guy out and really put on a clinic, put on type clinic, and do what he's supposed to do against Rosario. And till we see whether the champion he gets in there, I just want to see J-Rock, kind of rebuild and being back in the spotlight as a champion to continue on, because it's no story that's greater than a guy getting up. Mostly everyone in the boxing world kind of counts him. I thought it was going to be a long journey for him as well. Can't count my. But to see him pick himself up just the way you're supposed to when you suffered a kind of a devastating kind of a knockout defeat, and you go in and put on a performance against what was his name, Jared Hurd. Who I didn't see Jared Hurd losing no time. J-Rock go in there and drop him, just shine the way he shined, man. I want to see this kid's story continue, man, because this is the way a warrior's supposed to pick himself up and march forward when everybody else is down, and again, everybody's down and out on him. And he just believes in himself, and it shows what belief and perseverance can do for you. But I just think he'll beat this guy, but he won't take this guy. The style of fighter that makes you kind of cautious, because the style he fights, you're just watching for him trying to deliver something. But this dude don't seem to be such a big puncher, but any punch that catches you right will change things for you. But I like that he's staying busy, but he was trying to go into that rematch and Hurd pulled out of it because Hurd knew he wasn't ready. But that's all I got right now.
Well, for me, when it comes to Julian J-Rock Williams, now I feel like Julian J-Rock Williams is the complete opposite of a Canelo. I think it's unfortunate that in the sport of boxing, where guys like Julian J-Rock Williams are not celebrated more. but but a lot of times boxing fans focus their attention on guys like Canelo Alvarez and stuff. But when it comes to Julian J. Rock Williams, man, I'm rooting for him every step of the way. Now as far as Jason Rosario, I haven't seen him fight, so I can't really give a prediction on the fight or whatever. I mean, as far as a prediction, hopefully, all I hope for is that Julian J. Rock Williams get the job done. You know what I mean? He understands that he can't sleep on no opponent. He's on a particular trajectory. You know what I mean? So he's not in a position to sleep on this guy. So I definitely feel he's gonna be very professional. He's gonna go in there and get the job done. You know what I'm saying? And then later on in the year, we should have a fight between J Rock versus the winner of Charlo and Harrison. And I'll be honest with you, like the 154 division is like my favorite division in boxing. You know what I mean? All these guys are mixing it up. All these guys are being in good ass fights. Julian J. Rock Williams is an excellent fighter. And it's like what Reggie just said, him getting off the canvas, persevering the way he did, is definitely honorable. You know what I'm saying? And he's just a great, to me, he's just a great representation of what boxing really is about. You know what I'm saying? So salute to J. Rock Williams, and I wish him best of luck in his next fight. That's all I got.
Yeah, I agree with you. I believe that 154-pound division is potentially it's a powder keg of a division. And let's just stick with 154 for a minute here, because I want to say this. My comment about J-Rock and his title defense in his hometown, he better be ready to go out there and fight that guy like that's the title that he's chasing down, because weird things happen when guys fight in their hometown, and they call it a homecoming event. Every time I can remember a decent fighter, decent champion, bringing the title home to defend in front of his people, he's had a rough go of it. I mean, I just gave the example of Hurd being the guy fighting in his hometown, trying to bring boxing back in front of his family and everything, and things went south. There was another guy, I don't know, was that Devin Alexander, or it was one of those guys in the welterweights that did the same thing a few years back. Same thing. Evander Holyfield, hometown fight against Burt Cooper, and Burt Cooper was the first man to put Evander Holyfield down. So it's like when you fighting from your home crowd, man, you could expect the unexpected in boxing, which is already called the theater of the unexpected. There's always something going down, and sometimes it's the champ. So they have to watch out for that. But what I wanted to get to was, how about next year, guys, when we look at what's happening in January, J-Rock, let's just say he comes out unscathed, defends his title, and you'll have the winner of the Charlo Harrison 2. And going forward, how do you see the fight panning out between a potential match between J-Rock and Harrison if he wins, and J-Rock and Charlo if he wins? Brooklyn, I'll go to you first, especially since it's your division. What do you think?
Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to it, man. It's like with the with Harrison and Charlo, I actually bought a ticket to that fight. I'm actually going to that fight, and I can't wait, man. This is a couple weeks from now. I cannot wait for that fight, man. And then also too, you're gonna have a good undercard. But as far as I'm gonna take this angle. Thinking about Charlo versus Harrison, I think Harrison's gonna win the rematch. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how I see it. So as far as J Rock versus Tony Harrison, I see J Rock pulling in, beating Tony Harrison. Him, J Rock, because one thing I love about J Rock, he has an excellent inside game, and he's just a very savvy guy. Like, I love his inside game, and to be honest with you, I got J-Rock beating. I think I got J-Rock beating Harrison and Charlo. You know what I'm saying? I just feel J-Rock is a more complete fighter. I think he has more tools in the trade, and I also feel he gained a lot of it. He gained a lot of confidence being heard. You know, that's a fight that he's really gonna. That's really, I feel, is really gonna propel him. But then on top of that, you look at his ability in the ring. Now, I mean, he's just an all around like really solid fighter. Like there's nothing that he can't do in the boxing ring. And honestly, I got J-Rock beating both of them guys. Honestly, you know what I mean. So I think J-Rock is gonna have a big 2020 for sure. That's all I got.
Okay, Reggie, what about you, bro?
Man, I think I may have to second that. J-Rock is being able to beat either one of those. I think him and Harrison may end up being more of a chess match, though, being both of these guys are very good off the jab. Harrison tends, he diminishes as fights go late. And I think that's where J-Rock can start to make a separation between the two. But I just think they're great use of the jab before trying to deliver power. Any of that stuff is what will make them the more effective of the. And I think between J-Rock, who was that? Tony Charlo. This one is going to play out. This is going to play out kind of crazy seeing that fight. But I think Harrison's jab in that first fight, it began to buzz Charlo at times. We've seen Charlo knees buckle, I think once or twice in that fight, and him be able to keep Charlo at bay. And Charlo trying to deliver power, trying to look out. It just never came. This dude took Charlo's best shot. And unless Charlo starts to kind of go off his own, he's going to suffer another defeat. But I just think Harrison is the better of the two boxers, and I think that's what creates the frustration. Aggression is behind his emotions, his inability to control his emotions all the time. And that's what any fighter who can't control their emotions when they hyper aggressive, and sometimes that work against you. But Harrison in that ring, you best believe Harrison going same ish. He's talking in these press conferences inside that ring, and that if Charlo can't control those emotions, he's suffering a defeat. And it's hard to hold your emotions. We all come from environment. In a minute, someone's under your skin. If they're just as equal as you as from the shoulders, they're gonna put tips on you when you can't control your emotions. And I think that's what's going to happen in this fight. But J-Rock, I think between those two, I think he the successor to both of them. But that's all I got on that one. That's a cold little future matchup and prediction to think about. But I like J-Rock, and I think story, and I don't want to see him fall off the wagon.
Yeah, I think that J-Rock is the class of the division right now. The Harrison Charlo winner will be a close second, but not that close, because either of those guys haven't shown me a completeness that J-Rock has. First of all, let's talk about his loss to the bigger Charlo, Jamal. In that fight, he was doing very well against Jamal, and he showed some aggression towards Jamal, and because he was having success, that's how he ended up getting caught. So I understand now him being a little more patient and calculating and using experience and guile as opposed to running into danger as he had earlier in his career. Harrison is the type of a boxer with a punch. I stopped short of calling him a boxer puncher because though he has a very good right hand, he's not very aggressive with that. He will look to lay and wait and see if something will happen. He doesn't try to make something happen, which is why I understood that some people felt that he lost that first fight against Charlo. He didn't apply pressure to Charlo to take the fight from him. He basically made Charlo follow him around, and there were points where Charlo was effective and ineffective, and he won a decision off of that. But never did he sit down and say, I'm taking your title tonight. So for a man to talk so boastfully in the press conferences but not fight with that same fervor, I won't hand him anything. He's got to prove to me that he can really beat Charlo, and Charlo's got to prove to us that he really wants to be champ again. So with that being said about that particular fight, the winner taking on J-Rock is going to have to be able to box, fight, punch, defend equally, because J-Rock has a little bit more in the tank, I believe, in the heart, I believe, and in the head than both of those guys. And it would be a good fight because it's between the top three guys in the division. There's nothing to take away from that. But Harrison, to me, is he's the question mark. Because if he could get a little bit more aggressive, maybe we could see something. And I just won't go on the merits of what he's talking. He's got to show it to me. And remember, prior to this, he has lost before, and he didn't show us then. So that is something that we look forward to. A showdown between J-Rock, if he comes through in January, and these two guys after their rematch next month. And lastly, another question about this division for you brothers. Do you think Jaime Munguia is going to grow a pair and fight somebody? Either of those champions. Go ahead, Reggie.
Well, it came out a few days ago that and he's looking to take on all. I think his days down here.
Reggie, you're fading in and out, bro. You're fading in and out for some reason.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Jaime Munguia came out and stated that he's moving up to, and I think he can't make this weight anymore. He's no longer a player at 154. And he's talking about, they're talking about, he said he wants.
Yeah.
Well,
Reggie's on mute.
Yeah, I heard part of that. I didn't hear it completely. But if you're saying he's moving up because he can't make the weight anymore, that's a bunch of malarkey. He's a very young kid, and if he wanted to really test himself as a champion, he should have fought somebody at that weight. I think it's more of the Canelo thing where he's going to move up before somebody snatches dinner. Brooklyn, what do you think?
Yeah, man, I remember being high on Munguia, but then you realize like the politics of sport that really like excuse my language, that really upsets me and stuff like that, because you have a Jaime Munguia who's a part of this hot division with all this talent, and none of these fights could be made. The same story. With this WBO stuff. You know what I'm saying? None of these fights can be made, and Jaime Munguia now goes up to 160 now. But it's like you won the title against what's the dude name? That dude from Brooklyn, man. Saddam Ali. You win the title from Saddam Ali, and then you fighting Liam Callum and this guy and that guy. But there's all this smoke at 154. It's like, come on, man. Now he's about to go at 160. He's just gonna take the WBO. Maybe not who. And okay, he's gonna be at 160. Who's he gonna fight at 160? I don't see him beating. Is he gonna fight Andre? He's not fighting. Golden Boy not gonna put him in there with Andre. Andre will smoke him. You know what I mean? So it's just unfortunate that he's never fought anybody at 154. You know what I mean? Because I think whether he would have won or lost, it would have made for some good fights. So some good fights on a Saturday night. You know what I'm saying? But unfortunately, these promoters constantly robbing the boxing fans of some good fights, man.
Yeah, I think that what he's going to do is try to go up there to 160 and fight the European fighters and the British fighters. That's what he's going to try to do. But every once in a while, there's a fighter over there of that ilk who's capable of delivering, you know, and he already had a touch up with somebody from over there, didn't he, where he got a gift decision when he really should have lost. What was that fighter's name? I think it was an Eastern European guy.
Hogan, the one Charlo's fighting.
Yeah, that dude. He he come up out of there, and he should have lost that fight. So there's something to be said about how they're playing these games with these fighters. I could just go back to an earlier era when we had guys like Fernando Vargas. Fernando Vargas was a fighter, man. They put him in there a little bit too soon, I think, against a guy like Trinidad. But he fought De La Hoya. He fought, he was a fighter. And I respect Fernando for the fights that he took and the fights that he lost more than what they were trying to do with him being a young fighter. Because that's the one thing about main event way back then and a little earlier than his era. They would put guys in tough early. Like you being just making it into double digits in fights, like your 12th fight or something, or 14th fight, and they're putting you in real tough, world championship caliber fights. Holyfield fought Dwight Muhammad Cowie in his 12th professional fight. Pernell Whitaker fought Jose Luis Ramirez when he was like, I think 14-0 or something, like 15-0. It's like the main events used to put fighters in tough as hell, man. But they had a stable of fighters who they could do that with. Jaime Munguia is doing it from the opposite way. It's like he's young and inexperienced, but they putting him in against very soft touches and lower tier weight titleists that aren't the cream of the divisions. And they're building him that way and trying to move him through. But I'm telling you, if these guys, if they listen, and I said this earlier on another stream, if they start putting these guys in tougher and they start making legacy like that, and the guys who are the real champions look to be like, I'm not going to let this guy make a name off of me or whatever, and start fighting and putting these guys to task, it's going to be pee or get off the pot, And that's what it needs to be in boxing. There's not enough of this. We see a lot of guys, they'll vacate a title and run away from a person rather than fight somebody who's there where they can really make their name. It's like, what are you in boxing for? Are you in boxing because you just want to beat up on guys you could beat and make as much money as you can doing that and then think you're going to get out? I mean, that seems to be the case here. I mean, what do you have to say, Reggie?
Reggie?
Ben, I was about to say, I agree with everything you said. I can't add anything else to it. I think you're absolutely correct on that. Absolutely.
And I could add something, and this the strategic, matchmaking crap, because you look at his competition at 154, he ain't fighting no guy that could punch, because they see. I mean, listen, I'm no boxing expert, but man, Jaime Munguia's defense is absolutely dreadful. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be honest with you, you put him against a puncher. Like everybody that he's fought were feather fisted dudes who have no pop when they punch. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be honest with you, if they understood if they put him in there against a J-Rock or a Jared Hurd or a Charlo or these other guys, he would have got knocked out to Mexico, man. That guy's defense is terrible. He takes way too much flush shots. way too much flush shots, and they understood this. But it's like you're a quote unquote champion. You're a champion. You know what I'm saying? But all your fights are lower tier opposition, guys who are bottom of the barrel. So I mean, that's all I got on that.
Okay, I'm gonna take it to the chat. Andrew Charles has said when we were talking about Canelo, he says whatever Canelo's next move is, it's gonna be ugly. And, Iceberg Nerd says, I agree with brother Reggie. Good stay busy work for Williams is this fight with Rosario. Hurd has plenty to work on before he's ready for a rematch. Iceberg Nerd says the winner of Williams/Hurd was supposed to get the winner of Harrison/Charlo too. I'd assume J-Rock just needs to get through this next fight. Iceberg Nerd says, I want to see J-Rock and Charlo. Iceberg Nerd also says, Iceberg Nerd also says Williams looks scary good versus Hurd, but I think Hurd was tailor-made for him. I think Charlo is a tougher style matchup. Bodru Thibodeau has fell into the building. He's got the gloves up, and Nitty G says, salute family, hashtag LDBC Chicago. And Iceberg Nerd finishes up with Vargas had already fought guys like Corte and Winky Wright by the time he was 21. Yes, sir. Let's go back to the other comment that Iceberg said. He said Williams looked scary good versus Hurd, but I think Hurd was tailor-made for him. I think Charlo is a tougher style matchup. Iceberg Nerd, I feel the opposite, and I'll give my response, and I'll ask for the rebuttal by the two brothers on the panel. I see J-Rock versus the little Charlo, Jermell. I see it being a lot like the fight with his brother being reversed, meaning that J-Rock wins in a spectacular way, because I think that J-Rock is a little more seasoned now and is of a different mindset, and he can set a trap for Jermell. And Jermell has shown to be, a little bit of an emotional fighter, so he could set some traps from him, and that would be very dangerous. I don't think that Hurd was tailor-made for him. I believe that he just showed a diversity that Hurd didn't have, that they didn't realize. When I say they, most boxing pundits, viewers, whatever, didn't realize that J-Rock had and Hurd didn't. The versatility wasn't there. Hurd never operated behind a jab. He always looked to wear people down with pressure, and he relied on being a bigger, larger physical presence. And he didn't never really fight a guy who could fight on the inside. When he fought Lara was not an inside fighter. And what happened with J-Rock was a multifaceted fighter. He could fight on the outside and inside. And when Hurd found it to be uncomfortable on the inside, he was like, damn, let me try to step on the outside. Then J-Rock was out there hitting him and everything and touching him up. So it was like he totally got exposed. If anyone got exposed in a fight recently this year, Jarrett Hurd was exposed for being so limited as a boxer. That doesn't mean he can't turn things around and get better, but for where he was and the title that he had, or titles that he had, he got exposed as being an extremely limited fighter in an era where there are far more limited fighters out there. But we're not seeing them because they're not fighting the fights that they need to fight. And if they do, like in this instance, when these two guys matched up, it will be exposed. So what do you have to say about that, Brooklyn? I'll go with you first.
Yeah, man, I agree with that 1,000% as far as like J-Rock beating Charlo, because Charlo, and it goes to the the effeminate aspect of boxing, because a lot of times, with Charlo or whatever, they look at, his skinny jeans and his weird hairstyles and his choker chain jewelry and all that effeminate stuff that he's on, and people attract to that. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like Charlo is a guy that people are really attracted to, and things outside of boxing. But if you watch the guy fight, like, to me, he's a very limited fighter. Like, there's guys in the sport that bring a lot more to the table than Jamel Charlo. But it seems like, these fighters don't get the same attention. You know what I'm saying? So in regards to Charlo versus J-Rock, because like when I read that comment from Iceberg Nerd, I was thinking to myself, I don't want to agree with Iceberg Nerd in that case, because J-Rock has a lot more tools in his toolbox. He can fight on the inside, he can fight on the outside. He's a very savvy dude. He's from Philly. This is a fighting town, and then also too, he's learned from the fight against his big brother. And I don't see, even if they was to fight, I don't see Jamel Charlo hitting him with a counter uppercut like Jamal did. You know what I mean? And even with Jamal is a way bigger puncher. You know what I'm saying? So I can't see Jamel Charlo knocking down a Julian J-Rock Williams. I can just see J-Rock Williams just doing excellent work on the inside, frustrating Jamel, and I can see Jamel just coming apart from a mental standpoint, fighting a guy like a J-Rock Williams. That's how I see it. And to be honest with you, I would love to see it, because personally, I've never really been the biggest fan of I've never really been the biggest fan of Jamel Charlo, just because of his attitude and just the way and just how he is and shit. Like, his personality is just something I'm not really into. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't mind seeing J-Rock beating the brakes out that dude anyway. So that's all I got.
Okay, Reggie, what about you, bro? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think Hurd was a tailor-made style. I just think J-Rock had to go into the fighter that features so many different gifts, and he just had to go in there and know which gift to pull out, because nobody's seen this happening, because Hurd has always been like Jason, but what's the name was able to exploit things, finding these holes to dig into. And it just took some timing for J-Rock to do his homework, put in the proper type of training, and to just go in the ring and exploit that. But against this Charlo, because what Hurd did against the bigger Charlo, and Charlo big as hell for 154. There was no one at 154 the Jamel Charlo any issue. He is big as hell. I don't even see how he makes 160. It was just J-Rock coming in there being such a young. What's the cat that the other Charlo knocked out who's on the high? Dang, what is this cat? Erickson Lubin. The same thing. These young fighters who are young, want to get in there and compete when they're not fully developed already. And with him going in with this kind of youthful kind of mindset, just thinking they can go off of athleticism and all this without using their mind, that's where the mistake was made. Because J-Rock, he boxed well against Charlo, and it was just any time. And that fight was almost like being in the ring against Deontay Wilder, where Charlo only had to hit him with the one punch, and that's absolutely what happened. When he caught him with the punches, it changed everything for J-Rock. But he got up, tried to battle back on, but it was nothing he can do against a much stronger Charlo, who was going to find his chin in that fight. But in this mindset, following a monster when it comes to J-Rock, and going against the Jamel Charlo, who's a more emotional, he would lose his mind. And J-Rock was just... J-Rock doesn't have to sit on the inside. He can absorb his power, make him miss as well. J-Rock would just slowly start to mentally just do superb boxing in this dude's dynamic styling, where he can get in there, he can probably bang with Charlo. And if Charlo doesn't possess the power that makes this guy back up, it'll look like a Jared Hurd type bout. He ain't got the quickest feet. Hurd can just pivot, spin this guy, box the hell out of him, and it's to be an emotional, and it can work for you, work against you as well. And I think due to overexert himself trying to look for it. Boxing ain't always about knockouts. I can care, even though they are exciting. I want to see what a fighter can do when you can't knock a person out. And that's the thing that hurts, that plagues a lot of fighters when they want to take on the role of being knockout artists. Well, there's only one knockout artist in this sport, and that's Deontay Wilder. At these smaller weights, these guys are supposed to have many tools in their bags, and boxing should be the first one. But I think J-Rock would definitely not have it wouldn't be Jermell Charlo, who's, because he had pretty decent bout against the bigger Charlo. But I just like J-Rock, man. I like picking himself up from the mud, and now he's up here marching like a real troop.
Hey, Reggie, keep cooking for a minute and pay attention to the chat. I got to take care of something real quick. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, but I don't know. I just like J-Rock from the standpoint of skills, battling through adversity. This kid is what you want in a. Charlo, he has his talents as well. The thing that holds Charlo back to me is going to be his inability to control his real sensei.
Hey, Reggie.
Yeah.
It seemed like you really going in and out, man.
Oh, serious?
Yeah, a little bit. Like it seemed like it's been a little choppy. Hey, actually, it's a chat. Like, if let us know if Reggie's a little choppy. I don't know if this is my end or something.
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but sometimes you be a little choppy. But yeah, keep cooking.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna pass it on over to you. In this one, go ahead.
No, because I was gonna ask, because like I said, I think I'm on. Is there? I hear an echo. Okay, no, I'm good now. No, because I was gonna ask, like, how do you Charlo and Harrison going? Because like I said, like I mentioned a little earlier, I actually plan on going to the fight live. I'm gonna drive out to Ontario or whatever. Because despite my name, like I live in California, you know what I'm saying? But I plan on going to the fight. But I got Harrison winning the fight though. I think it's gonna be. I see it being similar, but I do see Harrison being a little bit more aggressive in this fight. I think he sees that he can put a little bit more of a hurting on Charlo, because one thing about Harrison is that Harrison is not a feather-fisted dude. He can punch. There was one point of his career where his knockout percentage was very high. So I can see Harrison, winning outboxing him, but landing some more, eye-popping shots. You know what I'm saying? Not just a bunch of shots that go over the heads of a lot of people. Because even in the first fight, like I said, I felt that Harrison clearly won the first fight. You know what I'm saying? But maybe you let us know who you think is going to win the rematch.
Yeah, in the rematch, I thought Charlo won that first bout. I definitely did, but Harrison still had his. And going into this thing, I'm favoring him, man, because the psychological warfare that he's playing in this is huge, especially when you're dealing. He ain't like Anderson Silva, where you remember when Chael Sonnen's doing all this stuff to Anderson, and how zen like Anderson Silva is. It ain't bothering him. Charlo's the opposite of that, and it's going to affect him going in this fight, because Harrison is talking some cash money ish.
Yes, sir.
Inside that ring, when he's sticking that jab, and all Charlo wants to do is deliver power versus setting up his boxing. Now, if he sets up his boxing as well, he may have some success, but I don't think Charlo wants to go a full drawn out fight. He's going to be and being stuck with these jabs. Even in that Cotto fight, Charlo struggled a little bit early in that fight. It was just
yeah, true.
So yeah, and I was wondering if that's the Tony Harrison effect on him. But even though he scored that knockout, he wasn't looking like the same Charlo in that Jorge Cota fight. But this one's gonna be tough, man. I hate for this dude to suffer because Charlo, that's back against him, and that's the only thing I hate. That's the only thing I hate. But it's gonna be hard for him to get those belts back. Oh, that's my connection. Yeah, it's gonna be hard for him. Definitely. What's your thoughts?
I'm back, fellas.
All right.
I'm back. So
cool.
What was what we
yeah, because we were still talking about the we were still talking about J-Rock and stuff like that, and of course we assuming that. And I hope that he gets by his next fight, so I hope he gets by his next fight. But as far as, with the rematch, I was asking Reggie who he felt was going to actually win the rematch between between Charlo and Harrison. I feel Harrison is gonna edge him, because I think I mentioned that in this fight, I could see Harrison, I could see him outboxing him because I definitely feel he has the skills to outbox him. But I definitely feel in spots I can see Harrison landing more eye-popping shots because one thing I do feel about Harrison is he definitely I don't think he's a feather-fisted puncher. I definitely think he has pop on his punch. It's just that in the first fight he just fought very conservatively, I felt. But I could definitely see Harrison landing some more eye-popping shots to catch the attention of the judges and the crowd and stuff like that.
Okay, let me go to the chat real quick. I see we got Mark Wunderlich said peace out, so he left us. Michael Johnson Boxing Talking More is out there. He says yo, and Nassim the Dream has joined us as well. What's good with you, Nassim? And Iceberg Nerd says, yeah, Reggie's shit is always going in and out, but I learned to adjust, just piece together what he's saying. Okay. And Michael Johnson, Boxing Talking More, says, Stormy, turn your mic up. Okay, I got you. And I sit back off of my mic a little bit because I know it's very strong. But if you need me to turn it up a little bit, I could get a little closer to it. So, but hey, go ahead and finish cooking on that, Brooklyn, and then I'll come in with what I have to say about that fight. That fight is coming up, right? It's gonna be right on our heels before we know it.
Yeah, like I said, actually, a friend of mine called me earlier. He asked me if I was available on the 21st to go to chill with his family and stuff. I said, no, sir, I'm gonna be at a boxing fight. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I won't be able to go to no gatherings, man. I just cannot wait. The only thing that sucks about it is that they put the fight in Ontario, California. I don't know why. It's mind-boggling that they put the fight in Ontario, California, because that's a neighborhood where it's not a lot of black people there. So it's like, who's gonna be coming out for this fight? Are Hispanic people going to be willing to pay money to watch this fight? I'm going to take the drive out there but it is what it is. But like I said, man, I can't wait for that fight. Like I said, I got Harrison winning, but at the end of the day, may the best man win. But I just feel like with Charlo, for one, like we said earlier, I don't feel like he's as complete as a fighter as he think he is. I think the problem with Charlo is I think he feel like he's better than what he actually is. You know what I mean? And he comes across as a very stubborn guy, a very hard-headed guy. He seems like one of those guys like you mentioned, like you're a coach. He seemed like one of those guys that you will always have clashes with the dude. You know what I'm saying? He just comes across as that type of head case. He's a head case, man. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like all the stuff that Charlo, that Harrison's been telling him in the press conferences and what's going to be being said in the build-up and all that stuff, I feel that that's going to get to his head, and he's not mentally, he's not going to be there. I feel like he's going to fight a similar fight like he did in the first fight, headhunt, trying to take this guy's head off. and I don't see him being that like really that smart in there to just box and be cool, calm, and collected and all that. But hey, I can't wait. Looking forward to the fight, man. You know, that's all I got.
Yeah, I think that this fight is definitely going to be one of those fights where, because it's a grudge match, it's not a fight to cleanly call. We've got guys who are different personality types. Harrison seems to be a little more he's a more outspoken type or whatever. Talking don't seem to be Charlo's forte. But what I do recognize also is that Charlo was a better fighter as a boxer when he was working with what's his name?
Ronnie Shields.
Ronnie Shields. And then he went on a knockout streak. You know, he found his power and he started doing things. But if he gets back to the boxing basics, okay, and that's all he needs to do because it's there. The foundation is there. Harrison is not an aggressive fighter. And that's what has to be exposed by the Charlo camp. A guy who is looking for something to happen instead of looking to make something happen, you can make him wait all day long. You see? Or you can make him take an invitation into a fray that he didn't want. You see? Now, he could prove to be that kind of cornered cat that'll scratch. But if Charlo wants his title back, scratch me, make me get scratched. You see? Put the pressure on him, make him fight, because Harrison wants to box. You don't let a boxer box. You make a boxer fight. If you're a boxer, you want the fighter to box. You always make it the other way for the other guy, especially if you're the one that's trying to do the dictating of the tempo. Now, Shields could remind him of those things. I'm sure he might have got in his ear and said, hey, man, look, you always was a really good boxer. You need to get back to that. And I told you guys before, both the Charlos remind me of Terry Norris. They almost have Terry Norris's style split between them. The bigger Charlo has Terry Norris's aggressive style. You know, wants to knock you out and everything. The smaller Charlo boxed like Terry Norris. And when Terry Norris boxed, he was always at his best. In and out, side to side, letting them hands go, fast combinations, had a good uppercut. You know, that was Terry Norris. That bouncing on his toes. The people could never get his rhythm. There was one guy that got his rhythm, and that was Julian Jackson. But he was up against the ropes. But I'll tell you, that's what reminds me of that. They have Terry's style divided between them. If you squint your eyes, you can almost imagine it was Terry. It was just one is a little bit bigger than the other. But I'll tell you, the thing about it is the versatility lies, believe it or not, with Charlo. It's there. There's no versatility with Tony Harrison. He's straight down, meat and potatoes, boxer with a punch. But if you never let him land that punch, because you know what the punch is, but you're getting busy on every other kind of way, you take everything away from him. And it's not a difficult thing to do. It's a tactical thing to do. But again, we're in that age of the sporting times now where a lot of people aren't working on the technical aspect of their game. And those are the type of things that deliver a fighter to another level. And that's what we need to start seeing from these guys. But you can't see it until they fight each other. And if you're fighting guys that you're supposed to beat, how can you ever grow? You see, you gotta come up against some opposition. Someone who just ain't gonna let you set the tone for the dance. You're gonna have to figure out how to move on the dance floor. And that's what makes the difference when you're fighting quality opposition. If you're one-dimensional, you can be exposed. If you're multifaceted, you have plenty of room to play. That's the way I see it. Did you guys have anything else you want to cook on that, or are we going to move forward?
Yeah, man, we could move forward. It's just like I said, the 154 division, and even outside of the champions, you know, I really like Brian Carlos Castano. I think he's a really good fighter. You have Erislandy Lara out there, Erickson Lubin's out there. Man, this division is stacked, bro. This division is stacked. I love it.
And I'll say this as a closing on. If Reggie doesn't have anything after me, I'll say this. You just dropped Lubin's name out there, dude. After these guys clean each other up, Lubin is right there. It's like, and the more that they, you know, take the time to go about their stuff, the more time he has to develop and get better. Man, we got some great matchups down the line through the middle of 2020 and going forward. I'm excited about that. I'm very excited about that.
For sure. And then remember, Errol Spence is a big welterweight, so eventually he's going to be in the 154 in the very, very near future. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's going to be wanting to fight him because he's a pay-per-view fighter now. So the division is going to be popping.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to acknowledge a couple more people that made some comments in the chat. Nassim the Dream says, smash that like button, family. Iceberg Nerd says, I got Charlo in the rematch because Texas. Scrapbook Boxing is out there. He says, what's good, Stormy B-Man in chat? What's up, Scrap? Nassim the Dream says, I hope Charlo win it. It seems he brings a little more to boxing than Harrison. Harrison is too off the scene for me, even though Charlo has been quiet lately. Nassim the Dream says, something is eating at Charlo. You can't even give this dude interview without him being distracted. Yeah. Scrapbook says, all good, Brooklyn child. How's it going? And Hyphy is out there. Hyphy says, Jamel be sneak dissing Shields publicly to this day. Only tip Shields have for Jamel is next time wear a nurse hat to match your blouse. Hey, Hyphy, stop typing that damn language like that. I can't read that shit. I told you it'd give me fucking aneurysm, man. I can't read that shit. It's like, man, and let me give Hyphy his wrench. Hyphy don't have his wrench on here. He be typing that stuff, man. I can't read that. I'm like, what is that? You know? But yeah, man, you know, it's like the 154 should be the outside the heavyweights, the glamour division. I mean, as far as what's potentially lined up for the next, let's just say 2 years, you know, there's some hot fights to be made there, man. And I want to see a few of them. I don't want to see just one, and then for the next year and a half, you don't see another. Come on, man, make these fights, brothers. And if you lose to a guy, go back to the gym, get your work in, and come back and get a rematch, man. Because, I mean, the greats have lost. You know what I'm saying? The greats have lost. Matter of fact, the only great that didn't take a loss or whatever is none of them, because all of them have lost. And if somebody want to throw Rocky Marciano's name out there, Rocky Marciano fought a lot of aging fighters, man. He fought a lot of aging fighters. Kind of typically of what's today, like Canelo. He fought guys with his advantages, you know. And he knocked out Joe Louis, and Joe Louis was 2,000 years old when Rocky Marciano fought him. So I don't give him that credit for that. And he got out of the game when Floyd Patterson was coming up. So there you go. Anyway, let's move on, fellas. And we can go to another aspect of the show that I basically titled the show on, because we could cook on this for a minute. The gloves and bets are off. That's a little bit of a play on today. I see that they dropped that face-off between Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz Jr. The gloves are off. So it's out there now. For anybody who didn't catch the video, it's out there, and you get a chance for the two heavyweights that are fighting coming up next month, and it's time, and it's time for them to sit down and get in each other's grill and start talking mess and everything. So I got a chance to check the show out. Did you brothers get a chance to check out the show?
Me personally, I did not watch it because it's like what we was talking about in Tyrone's live stream earlier, man. Like I just can't stomach listening to Anthony Joshua for more than 2 seconds, man. I think the guy's a freaking weirdo. He seems trying to be smarter than what he is. I'm tired of this philosophical shit that he be trying to bring to the table. You know what I'm saying? I personally haven't watched it, you know, because and then also too, you factor in Andy Ruiz, you know. Now I love his fight style, but you know, Andy Ruiz is not somebody that's gonna give you, you know, a soundbite or whatever. You know, he's really a really nice, humble guy, but Andy Ruiz is one of them guys, like, I don't really care. If he's in a fight, I don't care about the build-up. Let's just go straight to the fight, because that's where the animal comes out. That's where the ferocity comes out with Andy Ruiz. You know what I'm saying? So me personally, I did not get a chance to watch the Gloves Are Off.
No, I didn't catch it either, but Andy Ruiz talking about 10 out of 10 here, stating that Joshua quit. But I heard the sound bites, haven't seen it. Since you were saying they loaded it up.
Yeah, man, check this out, brothers. Listen, you have to watch it, man. If for nothing else but for Andy Ruiz, man. The dude is a riot because he's just like a dude that you know from next door or some shit, you know? And he don't know how to be nothing but who he is. And that's pretty damn cool. As you just mentioned, Reggie, he was asked, of course, by the pathetic Johnny Nelson, they could find another person to host these shows. I can't stand that dude, man. It's like, really? Y'all can't find a better person to host this show facing off, you know. Johnny Nelson is not the guy, man. Get him out of there. You know, like they did at the Apollo when they used to have that hook when the act on stage was bad. They put that hook around their neck and pull them off the stage. That's how they should do Johnny Nelson on the next episode. Let Shannon Briggs or somebody be on there. Somebody who's colorful. But that guy, he's ridiculous. Anyway, what I wanted to say about Andy Ruiz Jr. Yeah, he was asked by Johnny Nelson 10 times. If you fought him 10 times, how many times out of 10 would you beat him? You know? And he said 10. I was cracking up, man. Because he put it in his face straight like that, you know? And like I said, he's not a mean spirited guy talking crap, but he's talking like he believed what he's saying. AJ, on the other hand, was trying to sound all philosophical and shit like that, like he been listening to some Teddy Atlas or reading his books or some shit. And Ruiz was just shutting all of that down. When he was asked, did he think that Joshua quit when they fought the first time? And Joshua was talking about, oh, there's no quit in me. Otherwise, why did I keep getting up? And Ruiz was like, yeah, I think he quit. Yeah. You know? he said it played his day right in front of his face. And AJ was looking all off to the side, looking at, you know, Johnny Nelson and stuff. But Andy was just looking him in his face, man. And I noticed that Andy, he spoke about his temperament. You know, he was like, listen, I've been fighting since I was 6 years old. You know, and he's like, I don't have to be mean to people and all of that. He's like, we're going to get in there and fight. Then he's like, after the fight, we could go get something to eat or whatever. I was like, this dude, he's something else, man. He is all right. You know, he's colorful in his own way. And the mere fact that he's talking like, I had a question going into this, and I think I mentioned it when I was on the earlier stream or even prior to today. It's going to be coming down to if Andy is still hungry for more, you know, because he's got a nice house now, he's got a nice car now, he's done some things, he's got some money, you know, and he's enjoying that. And he admitted, I'm enjoying it. But what he also admitted, I ain't ready to stop. I thought that was good, because when you come in like that and you say, I want more, you understand? Like the little girl in that movie Interview with a Vampire, when the dude gave her a taste of the blood and she said, I want more. That's what Andy Ruiz. He was like, I want more. I'm ready to go for more. I like that.
Because my recent prediction, I think AJ's he was being beaten without Ruiz doing anything. Wilder, crushing defeat of Brazil, the whole prospects of fighting, being beat up in sparring. There was so many cat, and just the pressure began to get to this cat and him underestimating Ruiz. And that's the reason why I had Ruiz winning that first fight. Won good money as well. But coming in this rematch, I think Anthony Joshua is gonna get those titles back. And Anthony Joshua, he can fight. Now his heart's been lacking, but I cannot take away the fact that Anthony Joshua still won. Now Ruiz has been bugging me, man, with some of the things he putting his foot down as a champion. He should have dictated where this fight was, but all they got to do is throw a little bit of crumbs at him because his lifestyle didn't change, and he's going to accept it. Now he's going over here in this neutral, safe zone for Anthony Joshua, and it's a zone for Anthony Joshua because Joshua was sold over to the Middle Eastern people who should be in attendance. Now, Joshua can feel a little bit at home. There's no pressure on him. There's a huge control on the act to where it doesn't affect him mentally. The only thing that affects him is him standing across the ring against Andy Ruiz. Now, in the first 3 rounds, AJ can use his length, use his height, stick out that jab, and we seen he was the first one to. Now, where AJ made that huge was when he tried to go to close out the show. He went right on the inside, falling cuts, mixing short hooks against a quicker-handed Andy Ruiz, and he got caught, and he never recovered from that. Now, in this rematch, simple. Stick out that left jab, maintain distance. If you fight on the inside, he better make it very tie up, get the fight resetted, stick off of that jab. And the first fight, he was loading up on punches, missing punches, and he did the one thing that's crucial, and he's shedding off a bunch of that wasteful muscle mass. I think he's going to be he's going to be able to pull this one. Keep Ruiz at bay, run Ruiz into the jab, and set up his work. Just set up his work. He's locked himself away. He cut out all that old trying to look like a trick-looking model, and he's starting to look like a fighter. Let the hair grow out. Stop worrying what you look like in front of cameras and look like a damn warrior. And that's what he's doing. He got a team of an American. Brandon Jennings, I think, is very good. May not be the most skilled, but Jennings mindset when it comes to teaching and understanding the fight game. He can help them bringing in quicker Tabiti for him to try to work speed. And that's where it's going to have to be at. Him working on his speed, and he's taking this camp very, very serious. And that's the one thing that I think is going to work. He's been into this rematch, but it is what it is. And he still has the tools. I can't take that away. He may be thing, but the kid can still fight, and he can keep Andy Ruiz outside of the range in which Andy Ruiz work at. And that's just off of that jab. He's 6'6", 82-inch reach. He can keep that dude at the end of it. But I got AJ winning this fight.
Okay, before we go to Brooklyn, I just want to acknowledge some more brothers that came into the chat. We got G Funky 84 in there. He says, "What up, my brother Stormybman in boxing conversations with Reggie Owens." What's up with you, G Funk? We also got Brooklyn Child Boxing on here with us tonight. Iceberg Nerd says, "I pulled a muscle reaching for reasons that AJ will win the rematch, but Ruiz gonna beat his ass again." Legendary Top Cats is out there with his swords and his shield. And Nassim the Dream says, "The ref told AJ, 'What are you doing? This ain't no damn break. Get your ass in there and fight.'" Omega Red is in the building. He says, "Salute, family." And who else we got? We got someone else out here. Yeah, that's it. Everybody else is greeting everybody. But Nassim the Dream says, "Johnny Nelson keeps talking about AJ got hit with a lucky punch. So all 45 was lucky punches." Yeah, well, hey, man, that's Johnny Nelson for you. So Brooklyn, come on in with what you got to say about this, man. How you see things shaking out.
For sure, man. I mean, well, for one, when we get done with this stream, I'm definitely going to catch you got me intrigued watching now. I plan on watching the gloves. I definitely plan on watching it. I wasn't planning on watching it before, but I plan on watching it this time.
Yeah,
but,
check it out. Check it out.
For sure. I'm going to check it out. But as far as my prediction of the fight, I see it completely differently from Reggie. We're going to have to disagree in this regard. I got Andy Ruiz in this fight. You know what I mean? Like, see, the way I see the fight playing out is I definitely see AJ fighting differently. You know, he's probably I could see him trying to instill maybe like a Klitschko type of style, you know, as far as that jab and hold type of aspect. But the thing with AJ, but one of the things that people forget about the first fight was Andy Ruiz was landing some beautiful body shots on AJ. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that people forget about. Andy Ruiz was landing some clean, crisp body shots. Bow! Right on his belly, right on his ribs. You know what I mean? And then we talked about the mental aspect of AJ. Now, this guy gets mentally broken down going to Madison Square Garden. So what? That means he's going to be mentally strong going to Saudi Arabia? A completely different territory that, to be honest with you, none of us boxing fans are used to watching a fight in Saudi Arabia. This will be my first fight watching. This will be my first fight. My first time looking at an event in Saudi Arabia. So am I supposed to believe that he's going to be mentally strong in this upcoming fight? I don't think so. You know, I still think he's going to have trouble with Andy Ruiz's hand speed. He's going to have trouble with his overall boxing ability and counterpunching. And then also, too, you know, I could see maybe AJ maybe doing a lot more movement similar to the first fight. But we all know this guy doesn't have the best stamina. You know, he fades. You know what I'm saying? So I can just see Andy Ruiz stopping them in like probably between, I want to say between 7 to 9 rounds. Like, I see another stoppage, honestly, especially if there's no funny business and Andy Ruiz understands, you know what I'm saying, the implications, because, man, listen, if Deontay Wilder gets by, when Deontay Wilder gets by Tyson Fury, man, you want to talk about a mega fight. You know, you want to talk about a mega fight between Wilder and Andy Ruiz. Like, you know, Deontay Wilder says things like, I don't look past an opponent, but I look through an opponent. You know what I'm saying? And that has to be something that's in his mind, because you got this Deontay Wilder who has the green belt. This is going to be a big, big pay-per-view matchup. Listen, I think Andy Ruiz is going to get the job done. That's all I got.
Okay. This is what I want to say. Legendary Top Cats is a trip. In the chat, he called Reggie Juicy Juice Owens in the house. He said salute. And then Omega Red says they trying to overheat Ruiz in the fighting in the desert, but it gets cold at night. Laugh out loud. This is what I want to say about this fight. And in Brooklyn, you mentioned a very good point and factor. If this fight is on the up and up, I think they took it over there so they can pull some shenanigans. But if it's on the up and up, which boxing is never on the up and up, but this is my call on the fight if it's on the up and up. AJ got beaten up for the first time. Beaten up. And then he quit. And the man was beaten up by one guy. It wasn't like he was being beaten down by 4 or 5 guys. So, psychologically, here's a little guy who beat up on a big guy. That's severely damaging to the psyche. Okay? Now, this is my coaching perspective that I'm coming up with here. The fact that in his fight against Dimitrenko, I can hardly say that guy's name, but the big Russian guy, Eastern European guy that Andy Ruiz beat earlier in the year. I think it was right around the first quarter of the year he fought that guy. He beat the crap out of that dude. The guy was big like AJ. He put hands, foot, and belly all over that dude, and they stopped the fight. Then when he fought AJ in June, he did the same thing to AJ. So, styles make fights. And AJ did a terrible thing to this guy, Andy Ruiz Jr., when he fought him. And the terrible thing that he did to him was he hurt him. He knocked him down. There are guys that got a lot of fight in them, and you can lure them to sleep by boxing them tactically. Keep them on the outside, stick and move, jab, this, that, and the other. That's not AJ's style. There was another fighter who fought like the way Andy Ruiz fought AJ and Dimitrenko. That was Evander Holyfield, my favorite fighter. Evander was the kind of guy, if you boxed him, you could lure him to sleep. You go the distance with Evander. Box him. Keep your jab out there. Move, time up, and when necessary, don't try to fight him on the inside. Don't try to hit him with something that make him think you're going to knock him out or try to knock him out, because that's what get his competitive juices going. I see the same exact thing in Andy Ruiz Jr. Andy got knocked down on his behind. And if you look at the knockdown, he looked at AJ, then he looked over at the ref, and the ref was counting, and he looked at that ref, and he got up very clear and steady on his feet because he didn't want the ref to stop the fight. Within seconds after that, he was all on AJ's ass. Like, you gonna knock me down and embarrass me in front of all these people? And he went after him like you're supposed to. Champions fight like that. Not punks. Not lucky guys. Not guys who just on a good night fought like Buster Douglas. No, that's what a fighter does. They will get in there and do what's necessary. And within a minute, he had AJ's ass on the floor. Okay? Now it's a fight. AJ got back up. Andy went right back in there on his ass, and the bell saved him by the end of the round. So for the next couple of rounds, AJ was boxing from the outside and everything. Till Andy was like, man, forget this. Let me get back in here on this chump. And next thing you know, AJ is down on the canvas again a couple more times. What I'm trying to say in this is he woke up a sleeping giant, even though he was the bigger man. Now, he cannot come out and fight the rematch boxing and staying on the outside, because he's got to take the title from the champion. And the champion is going to be trying to get in there on him again. Now, the only thing they could do is get one of them refs like they had with the Parker fight or the Takam fight, who could stop things from taking place, which And these people are going to have to be ready for that and be protesting because it's a fight. It's a championship fight. But I see his hand speed is better. His combinations are better. His intestinal fortitude are better. And most of the time, winning a title makes a fighter 10% or more better. Now, that's a whole hell of a lot for this guy to overcome in just a few months. 6 months. If he were a seasoned, proven veteran fighter where he had taken a couple of losses and this and that, I could say he's probably got that hunger back in his belly, this and that, and he could go in there and do some things. But this was his first loss, and it was an embarrassment because it was a cherry pick by his people, and it was a situation where they looked to think that even from the outside, externally, AJ should just show up and win with his muscles and shit. They had it pegged wrong, bro. They had it pegged so wrong that he got his ass whizzed. It wasn't just a whooping. It was a whiz-zipping, okay, on him. And that's a hell of a thing to overcome. He didn't have a couple of fights in between where he could rebuild his confidence and everything. He going right back in there against the guy who touched his ass up. And let's not forget this. A guy who know how to fight bigger guys. Absolutely. AJ can't fight on the inside. He can't. So, as I see this fight, I look for Ruiz, all things being on the level, which in boxing it never is. But I look for Ruiz to beat the shit out of AJ again, inside of 8 rounds. Take him out. That's what I got to say about that one.
Man, I'm gonna add something to that, man. As far as I'm concerned, like, you know, Wilder talks about speak it, believe it, receive it. Listen, I want to see Ruiz beat the brakes off this dude. So I'm speaking it. I'm gonna believe it, and hopefully I because honestly, man, this dude Anthony Joshua, this guy's a chump, dog. Like this guy, and we spoke about this in the earlier live stream, and I heard Reggie speak about this. It's this estrogenic aspect of boxing, this effeminate aspect of boxing, bro. I'm not with it. I'm tired of the goddamn promotion of, he has a body of an Adonis and he looks like this and he looks like that. Yo, all that, bro. I mean, this is boxing, man. This is combat. This is 2 men walking down the aisle, 2 men putting on boxing gloves, walking down the aisle and having a fight, man. I'm not into all this, the marketing. I'm not into the machine that's behind this guy, bro. That's and for me, I when I first saw Anthony Joshua, I agree with Reggie. I think he's a decent fighter. I think he's a good fighter. But what turns me off is all this estrogenic outlook on this guy, bro. And you know what I'm saying? Bring on Andy and hopefully Andy Ruiz, beat the brakes off this dude and get him out of the sport, bro. And then also too, Anthony Joshua don't want to fight the top competition. You know, he because now, and then also too, you gotta factor in, he felt a certain way. He was mentally gone when he saw Deontay Wilder knock out Dominic Brazil. He saw that knockout against Luis Ortiz, that straight right hand, straight down the pipe on the forehead, knocking him out on the forehead. He's seen that. So that means he don't want to fight Anthony. He don't want to fight Deontay Wilder. He don't want to fight Luis Ortiz. He don't want to fight Tyson Fury. He don't want to fight the top guys. So why are we parading this? Well, not y'all, but then people want to parade this guy like he's some fucking like he's the king of the throne. No, you're a queen, dog. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to fight top competition, and I don't want to see you no more. So I hope Andy Ruiz and his big belly puts belly, hands, rolls, whatever. Put everything on this guy and take him out of the sport, man. That's all what I'm hoping. Pussy ass niggas, man. Nah, but I'm done.
This fight ain't gonna turn out. This is gonna be a real battle, and I think the uphill battle is gonna be. I don't think Ruiz before that knockout came, and that's what is when AJ got clipped. He never recovered. But now, what's to say that this is going to happen? Ruiz is going to have to. We're going to have to see many things come for Ruiz, and Ruiz, a Deontay Wilder one-punch knockout artist. It's not going to happen. They're going to go in here. They're going to exchange. Go to Ruiz is going to have to figure out how to get behind. AJ's jab is going to be way. I think he's. Let me slow down. Oh, there I go. I think he's going to be more effective with the utilization of that very quick twitch with that left jab, keeping Ruiz at bay. He's going to win this fight through his jab and through his feet. Just maintain the distance, keep creating the space, tagging this dude, more effective with his feints. And he has the power. AJ is a heavy punching head. Can send Ruiz back to the canvas. Now, the only reason why he got dropped after watching that first fight, and it was funny because you hear Chris Maddox after is watch how he closes this fight out. And what did AJ do? He moved in, trying to go in with power, tagging Ruiz with a jab, setting up a possible second knockout. And he got. And even in that moment, if he would have just clinched, grab, have it reset it, the first fight could have been different. That first fight could have played out. I don't think Ruiz is a guy who's going to go in there and just, that ain't happening. Coming in this next fight, I think it's going to be I'm just, from the way I'm seeing it and viewing things, I just think AJ's gonna win this fight. I definitely think AJ's gonna win this fight.
And another thing with Anthony Joshua, man, this guy can't take a punch for nothing. Like I'm watching the highlights because, to be honest with you, like I said, I'm not as much of into the Anthony Joshua fanfare as much as other people. Some of his recent fights I didn't even see, and I'm watching highlights of him against Povetkin. Every time Povetkin landed anything of significance, this guy is like this guy has shaky legs, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like the guy can't take a punch. The man really can't take a punch. And what's gonna happen when Andy Ruiz lands something of significance? His legs is gonna be shaking all over the place, man. The guy has styrofoam in his chin, like what Charlo said to Harrison. Styrofoam chin, you know what I mean? He can't take a punch for nothing.
Well, I got something to say about that, but let me hit this chat real quick. Now, Seeing the Dream says, they say AJ is having problems with his sparring partners that fight like Ruiz. AJ is already ducking Wilder. He said that he don't want to hear nothing about Wilder. Here we go again. Another 3 to 4 years, this man will go on the run. Andrew Charles says, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but Ruiz will not win a decision in this fight. He has to force the stoppage. Now, Seeing the Dream says, any dude that escaped from prison need to look up AJ when this guy goes on the run. He has some of the best hiding spots. Omega Red says Ruiz had no respect for AJ's power. G Funky 84 says Ruiz took AJ's best punches and came back to destroy AJ. AJ said he's looking for the KO. Bad game plan. He's getting KO'd again. Now, Seeing the Dream says, as Stormybman, I think they held Andy back too long, and he is not ready to let this lifestyle go that easy. This boy is hungry. Andrew Charles says Ruiz been in the game a long time and has put in the rounds. He deserves everything he earned beating Joshua, and he's still hungry. Now, Seeing the Dream says, had they knew Andy fights this well, we would not be seeing this fight. It would be someone like Tom Schwartz. Hyphy says, Fire Bun A Juicy Ray J as pussy clot. Okay, whatever. Now, Seen the Dream says AJ is already ducking Wilder. AJ said if he wins, bow down to him, and he don't want to hear no Wilder talk. What the hell is that about? Like he's fought Wilder before or something. Listen, guys, this is what I want to say about AJ and Andy Ruiz, man. When you fight a guy that knows how to fight big guys, and that's Andy Ruiz, and you're AJ, and you don't know how to control the distance. You can't learn that in a fight camp. It takes experience. It takes being able to adjust to the type of fighter that's coming at you aggressively. AJ had a guy coming at him aggressively who was whooping his ass, and he's going in there against him a second time. Once the leather starts flying and you get hit upside the head, even if you got your gloves up blocking stuff, it's reminiscent of what happened before. If you don't fire something to get the respect to make him stay on the outside, then you're going to be in a world of discomfort. But Andy Ruiz Jr. is not the kind of guy you just going to hit something and make him stay outside. He going to get close to you. That's who he is. He don't care. You can knock him down 10 times. He getting up 10 times. That's the fighter he is. That's the difference in why he became champion. He did not let AJ off the hook. He stayed on his ass. And AJ had no answers. And since you want to talk about him being, hit and not recovering, Reggie, this is my argument about that. Styles make fights. And this is boxing. Just like you expect AJ to hit him, I expect him to hit AJ ass. But the difference is, take the words from Evander Holyfield, former undisputed 5-time heavyweight champion of the world. He said he boxed Andy Ruiz when he was 45, Andy was 19. He said he couldn't get away from him. This is Evander Holyfield, multiple-time champion and former undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world. He said he could not get away from him. He said his footwork was damn good. He was fast on his feet. And he said he had fast hands and decent power on the fast hands. AJ is a plodding robot-type fighter. That's straight up European style. That's what he is. And he is not fluid and fleet of foot. That's why he couldn't get away from Ruiz the first time. All of a sudden, he going to become Mikhail, what's his name? Barakov or whatever that guy's name that was the dancer, or Gregory Hines or somebody. That ain't going to happen. Not in 6 months. So I look for him to have the ring cut off on him and him to be taking bludgeons upside the head again. And this time when he go down, he may just lay there or look at the ref or wave his hand like I don't want no more. Just like when Alexis Arguello in his rematch against the Hulk, he waved his hand at the ref. You could count all you want. I ain't getting back up. I can't beat this guy. That's what you're going to see. So that's what I have to say. So
I would not put my money on that.
So let's get the last words from you two brothers. Brooklyn, you go first.
Man, it's been a great stream, man. It was great to come on the panel finally, man. It was great to talk to Reggie, man. I said this before, Reggie Owens is one of my favorite channels. He really is, same as you. It was a pleasure to be in a panel with like two of my favorite channels in the sport, in boxing, YouTube, you know what I'm saying? So, man, I'm looking forward to next week, as far as as far as Joshua and Ruiz, I'm looking forward to next week. It was a great conversation, man, and looking forward to the future conversations, you know what I mean?
Let everybody know where they can follow you, bro.
Oh yeah. Brooklyn Child Box, follow me. on YouTube, you know what I mean? Type in Brooklyn Child Boxing, you know what I mean? And feel free to subscribe to the channel, you know what I mean?
That's right. If you guys haven't had a chance to subscribe to Brooklyn Child Boxing, please do. If you want to put your link in the chat, feel free, bro. Reggie, give us your last, bro, and let everybody know where they can follow you.
Oh, yes, indeed, man. It was great being each and every one of us, all three of us. Y'all go subscribe and keep getting this great boxing content. Great content, Brooklyn Child. Great content from the OG. And I'll be trying to do my thing as well. Great, man. I can't wait till I want to see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow's card kind of lost some luster. But I can't wait for this dang week to get through, man. I want to see this AJ Ruiz fight. I can't wait. Even though I hate it because it shouldn't be fought in that country, it should be fought up over here. And I can go more into it behind how whole event is, because all part of some weekend festival is all it is. Not even activities in that country. But the great conversation, man. Say it rules the nation, and it's always good. We the sport of boxing with the deep aspect of thought and insight on what's happening in the game. And I just love that. I love hearing it, love being a part of it, to talk it and hearing on a lot of knowledge, because a lot of guys back when I was younger always followed the sport real heavy, but never had this keen sense of mind that you guys, the many intricate details to the sport. And now I can go back and look it up after hearing you guys speak on it. And that just piques my interest, because when it comes to fighting, that's what has always occupied my goddamn life, is hearing my boxing. I loved it when I was a child. I'm from South Central, so we all, and I'm seeing the older cats get down and fight, and then my aspect of how I looked at fight, and then when I get in the fight and how I look at it just, fighting has always just been a part of life, and this boxing thing has always been so significant, and man, I just love hearing it, man, and it's kind of taking me away from, I don't give a damn about the football crap, don't care about it anymore. Basketball, can care less about it. I care about fighting, because that's what life is about. Fighting. Thing, and the way we look at it and break it down, man, it just piques my interest all day, every day. And I don't even watch TV, so y'all keep keeping me entertained, so I ain't got to watch TV.
Yeah, same here, man. Last night, my wife and I watched a couple movies. That's the first time I did that in months. Because I be on here, you know, and making shows and whatnot. So I appreciate you guys out here too, man. And I want to say that everybody, don't forget that tomorrow morning we've got another episode of In the Eye of the Storm. And the special guest tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Central, will be Trap House Boxing. Okay, so we got another show going with that, In the Eye of the Storm, tomorrow morning. Don't forget to tune in to that. I want to say shout out to the LDBC, everybody that participated in the chat. Please smash that like button if you haven't. And Reggie and Brooklyn, I would like to speak to you two brothers after the show ends, just a couple minutes. And I just want to say this was a great show, man. We went through 2 hours. It don't even seem like it. It seemed like it's just been an hour. I don't know about you guys, but it don't seem like it's been that long. We've been really cooking this evening. So it's great having you guys on here. Appreciate all the contributions in the chat. Everybody talking about the subject. You know, it's like, hey, man, it's great. We got one more comment in there. Nassim the Dream says, AJ listens to our streams. He lost the weight, got rid of the muscles that cause fatigue, so I won't say what he should do as a bigger fighter. Figure that shit out yourself, Juicy J. Okay. That's understandable. So yeah, so I want to say thanks to the brothers that contributed to the show tonight, Brooklyn Child and Reggie Owens. And this has been really a really good show, man. I enjoyed myself so much. If you guys came in late, catch it on the replay on the archive. This is Stormy B, man. We're going to check out. I want to say peace to everybody. Have a good night.
Peace.
Peace.